Good morning. This is definitely going to be interesting because I don't typically get into my hives in the morning time, but like I said in my last video, I am currently switching jobs, so my schedule is going to be a little bit different now. Before I moved here, I used to work at a winery and I absolutely loved the whole winemaking process. So I decided to get myself out of a factory and start going back to that. So that is what I'm doing now. But the reason it's not a good idea to get into your hives in the morning is because the bees are not even awake yet. So I'm gonna be waking them up. This might be a little scary. On my run this morning, I am finally starting to see a little bit of goldenrod start to pop. So hopefully, cross our fingers, we actually get a flow this year. But if we don't, it's not going to hurt us too much. Casey and I did a really good job of making sure that everything is prepared this year because last year, as you guys know, I really pushed some limits. So our main focus this year is to have some really strong hives going into winter so that we're looking really good coming out of spring next year. So that means we're not going to hit our 100 hive count, but that's okay. I'd rather have strong colonies than a bunch of mediocre colonies. Okay, so today what I'm going to be looking at is I'm just going in and I'm checking to make sure that these hives are not getting too crowded, that they're not preparing to swarm, and I'm just going to equalize wherever is needed. Because it's a time of year that bees can, yes, still decide to swarm, and it is the worst time for them to swarm because you want them to be strong. So these four right here, which it looks like we do have some bearding going on as there's some bees outside the colony. I need to make sure they're not getting too crowded, and I need to equalize as needed. Maybe move some into some nukes, and see what we got to do. Well, that's interesting. We got a little mushroom over here growing on the side of the hive. Huh. Have you guys ever noticed that a lot of mushrooms like to that a lot of mushrooms like to grow around your hives? I've always noticed them at like the entrance of the hives. I don't know if it's just because there's so many dead bees, and that's just what they use for like food or something, but I have read some research by Paul Stamets that mushrooms are actually something that can be used as medicine for the bees to fight against viruses that might transmit to them. So I've been wanting to perform some trials on that, but haven't gotten around to it. So hopefully in the future. So I will definitely be smoking them today because, again, they're going to be grumpy. But everything's going to be a little damp because it is morning. Alright, so I know for a fact this one's going to be a little bit weaker, so I'm going to start with this one because I know these other two hives over here are going to be really strong. So I want to check my weaker ones first just in case they need some frames added to them. Oh yeah, these are looking strong. These are looking beautifully strong. Yeah, I know, guys. You don't really want to be woken up right now. And it's the time of year they're a little grumpy. I mean, I guess on the bright side, checking your hives early in the morning like I am right now is going to help the robbing situation this time of year, because robbing, as you guys know, is a really big problem. When you get later into the year, like right now, because there's not many resources to go around. And lately, robbing's been really bad this year. I don't know about you guys, but it's been really bad here. We also have a lot of hives right here, so that could be part of it too. Come on. This frame don't want to budge. Woo! Of course I ripped some honey out, but they are killing the honey this year. This hive was not like this before. So this makes me very happy to see. Well, at least I'll give them something to do. I need like So the main thing that I'm looking for when I'm trying to see whether or not a hive needs to have frames added to them or taken from them is, first, I'm seeing what the population of bees are. And second, I'm seeing how much brood they have and where it's also placed. And third, I'm also seeing how much resources they have. Like this colony, when I went in, they had brood in the top box and they had at least 6 frames completely packed of capped honey. And on top of that, the bees were just bubbling out of the top. So this tells me that this hive needs to have at least 2 frames taken from them. Generally, that would be a honey frame and a brood frame. The reason you'd want to take the brood frame is because that's their next round of broods. That's going to cut them back just a little bit, but not too much that it negatively impacts them, while you can move that frame into another hive and strengthen it instead. Got some larvae and some eggs. Wow, they got some drone brood over there. That's interesting. Got some queen cups that they're starting. Nothing in them. This one most likely does need to be a little bit equalized though, because there are a lot of freaking bees in here. So they could use a frame or 2 being taken from them, in all honesty. Yeah, this hive's looking killer right now. They're gonna do great going into winter time. Honestly, they could use a split, but again, I'd rather have strong hives coming out of winter, not weak hives. Oh, and there's my queen. Ooh, and she is a beautiful one. Look at her. Wow. She looks big and strong. All right, so before I finish going through those, we're gonna come up here and look through a couple of these. See if I need to equalize at all. Because these nukes up the hill up here are a little bit weaker, because we did make some splits back in July and had them make their own queen, which they all did really well with. So, okay, anything with a single story is going to eventually need another story. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those still need a top box. 7, 8. So here, let me grab my smoker first. Let's go over here and pop some lids and see what we see. Oh, 9. Ooh, looks like we need to do some trimming over here. Those grew like overnight. All right, so these ones I just did equalize last week. So I'll see if that's made any difference. Yeah, we need to make some new lids. These lids are not working. Ooh, and that looks a lot better. A heck of a lot better. And they're putting some weight on. That's good, because that's what we need. I mean, they're still a little light, but they're heavier than they were, because they were really light before. So you just saw how good that colony looked when I popped the lid, and just to give you guys a little bit of a backstory, including with this hive, they both had just had the top box added to them, and they were splits that I did in the middle of July. So it's only been about a month and they're already built up to the top box. And the way that I was able to do this is because I did what I keep saying, and I equalized. I added in a brood frame and a honey frame. And what ended up happening is when I added in that brood frame, it really kind of acts like a bee balm, and 1 frame of capped brood can fill up 2 frames. So it not one gives them more bees, but when it gives them more bees, it causes the queen to also lay more, because she has 1 more resources and more help to feed all the brood. Ooh, they're starting to pull some nectar in. I don't know if you guys can see it, But do you see that glistening in the cells? You can kind of see it. That means they're starting to hit a little bit of a flow. So that's good. We are starting to get a little bit of a fall flow. That makes me very happy because, like I said, these needed to put on just a little bit more weight. This top box was completely empty last week. I gave them 2 frames of brood, and it shows just the difference that makes, because now this hive is looking great and they were struggling. We like to call that a bee bomb by adding in some frames and equalizing like this. This is why it's good to have more than one hive for all you newbies. It's good to start off with at least 2 hives, because if one hive is weaker than the other, you can use each other to strengthen each other. Also, it's good to be able to compare like that. Whereas when you only have one hive, it's kind of hard, in my opinion, to learn, because you're not able to compare what you're seeing. You're not able to try out different things and see what happens. So, okay. This one's looking great too. I added a couple frames into this one last week too, so. Man, like I said, we might have overshot. We probably should have split just a little bit more. Let's see. Oh, there's my queen. Another really pointy one. I don't know if you can see her down there. She's down there at the bottom. Not seeing any nectar being pulled in here into this frame yet. She may be laying this frame though, so I don't want to disturb her. We'll put her back. Let's see, this one is really light. Wow, this one could use some honey. Let's see what one of these other frames look like. Calm down, guys. Ooh. They're getting a little angry. I'm gonna give you guys some food if you all calm down. Alright, so we got some brood over here. Oh yeah, we got a lot of brood over here. Okay. It's probably just because I just pulled their queen out, so they get a little feisty. And now their pheromones are going everywhere. All of these nukes are the splits that I did in July, so my main focus today is really just making sure that they have everything that they need in order to succeed. So whether I need to add in a frame like I keep talking about, or give them resources, that is the main focus, because in order for them to be strong enough for winter, they need to be able to build their self up. Although, because these need to put on more weight, I don't particularly want them drawing out comb, because they don't have as many resources. So I'd rather have a big colony that has excess resources drawing out frames. So they have it started, which is nice. Yeah, and they have this one over here too. That looks like they're trying to work. Man, they're trying. Maybe I'll take this one instead. So what I'm doing is I'm taking frames that need to be worked, and I'm going to put them in those big colonies that you first saw when I started this video, and swap out a brood frame or honey frame to put in these instead. So I'm going to put a fully capped frame of honey in here right next to this empty frame, and I'll make them be able to draw that out. Okay. This one's gonna need another box. And this one it's putting on some weight nicely. They're looking really strong. See a lot of beautiful. I'm gonna let them be, because they've been pretty strong. All right, what about this one? So see how quickly I'm going through these hives? This is how I'm able to go through them this time of year. There's no need to be digging through them and checking every single frame. I know what I'm looking for, so I don't have to dig into them. And I can tell how they're doing just based off of what I'm seeing up here, and they need a little bit more weight. And just pulling one frame out to see how they're doing. I believe this one they had to draw out. And it looks like they already did. Ooh. Ooh. I like. All right, guys, I need you to start backfilling soon. I'm noticing they're not really backfilling yet, but also there hasn't been a flow, so should be a little bit of one coming in, so I hope. All right. That one's looking good. Don't need to do much with them. This hive is the OG hive, Chicote, and I will need to smoke them because they're big and they will get feisty. They have a newer queen. They ended up re-queening. The queen I had in here was 3 years old. No, 2 years old. Sorry, was 2 years old. This was her second year. So it was only a matter of time. But I'm gonna take a little bit of honey from them because they had a lot of honey. Last time I checked, they had that whole entire top box just decked out. So they don't need all of that going into winter. So I'll give them a couple of these frames instead. Yeah. Everything's damp right now and it is not working, so. Beautiful. Dang it. It's that time of year you want to be careful taking your frames out. Because that propolis is hard. You're going to start breaking frames if you're not careful. Ooh, we got some brood up here now. That's new. They weren't doing that before. Alright. Let's grab these. And throw these in these hives that were a little bit weaker. They will be very happy. Alright, so for the last hour, I have just been equalizing, like I was talking about, taking from the rich, giving to the poor. Like I said, we have some nukes that need to be built up. They need to have a second story put on them, so that is what I'm doing today, especially since that flow is about to be here, even if it's really small. So I don't know, might not even be able to call it a flow, but we'll see. So I'm taking, some of these colonies are absolutely massive and these leaves are wet. I really need to start bringing something different. I know there's better ways. You guys gave me some amazing tips, and I've watched a couple really good videos about what to use, but life's been pretty busy, guys. So I always forget to get stuff for the smoker, and then here I am trying to get some wet leaves burning and it doesn't work. That's my own fault though. So yeah, these colonies are absolutely massive and doing really well. So I'm taking some of their honey stores, giving it to some of the weaker ones, especially since robbing should hopefully not be as bad as what it was, since we have a little bit of a trickle coming in. So it should help them kind of kickstart them a little bit. Come on. Got a little bit of smoke. Yeah, that might be all I can really get today. Wow, the bees are already up and bringing pollen in. They're bringing in a lot of pollen, actually. So that's great to see. Means we got something going on. Got a lot of little itty bitty mushrooms growing on these lids. Alright. This hive, ooh, I don't think this one's ready to be taken from. We put this one in a box not too long ago, so It wasn't a nuke, and then we moved it into a deep. And yeah, it looks like they need a little bit more time. That's really all you're doing this time of year, is just moving things around, equalizing, making sure your colonies are looking good going into winter, figuring out what you're going to do with your mites. Make sure they get some honey stores. But other than that, there's not really much else you can do. This time of year, you definitely do not want to be splitting any of your colonies. Trust me, I did this last year, and just take my word for it. I learned the hard way. You don't want to be splitting. So, and I got some of these feeders in here, some of these 2-frame feeders in here if I want to feed. These things work amazing because they hold a lot of liquid, a lot of feed, so you can feed your bees at a high velocity. And the reason I say high velocity is because you need to have a lot of sugar coming into the colony all at once for them to start storing it. If it's a slow trickle, they're just going to use it for food. So yeah. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to get back into that mean hive over there. I had started going through it, got them all riled up, and then decided, hey, I need to go check on the weaker colonies so I actually know what to grab and what to take. So, yeah, they're probably gonna be all mean if I try to open them again, but I guess I'm gonna have to do it. I brought out some frames so that I could hopefully put a top story on 2 hives, but I'm not gonna be able to do that, so it's all right. It is what it is. I'm happy with where we're at this year. I didn't reach all the goals I set, but in all honesty, I grew a lot this year in life and in beekeeping. And one of the things I realized is don't grow faster than you're able to, 1. And 2, it's better to be smart with your bees and to grow as they're able to than to push them beyond their limits and end up going into winter with some not so great colonies. So my focus is to just get these hives strong. I don't have 100. We did sell a lot of nukes this year though, so at some point we did have 100, but we didn't end up keeping them all, and that's okay. And we didn't raise 1,000 queens. This year has been crazy. I feel like I was pulled in every direction between all of the nukes that we made, growing the colonies, working full time, sometimes working overtime, so I can pay off some things from the past. Let's just put it that way. And kind of like figure out how to set up my life. A lot of internal battles, that's for sure. So I'm happy with what this year has looked like. We did a lot this year. Well, I probably should have waited to do that. Yeah, I did. I should have. Because now they're going to be grumpy. But yeah, so I'm happy with where this year has gone. I think we grew within our means, and we definitely learned a lot, and that was definitely the goal. And now we're just setting ourselves up for success for next year, which is really important because we have big goals for next year, as always. I guess one of the things I've kind of been struggling with too is, so in January, I used to be a competitive runner. I would go to professional meets and compete unattached. In track and field, I was an 800 runner. What I like to call the longest sprint in track, because that's truly what it is. 2 laps, all out, as fast as you can. First one not to die is the winner. But yeah, so I stepped away from the sport in January. Decided I want to... Oh, there's a mouse. Oh, lovely. Please get out of here, Mr. Mouse. Oh my God. I don't know where that came from. Oh my gosh. I had that in those frames. Oh, but yes, I decided to pursue other things, beekeeping, starting to try to set my life up well, and decided that it was time. Well, in the meantime, it has definitely Been a little bit of a struggle trying to figure out, okay, do I still run? Do I still do the workouts I used to do? Do I not do anything? Because it seems like, to all you other people who used to be athletes, like, it seems like I got so accustomed to working out every day and being like super in shape that it's like my brain is addicted to that now. If I don't work out, I can't think clearly. So it's like I have to prioritize working out anyways. So I don't know. It's just been different trying to figure out that balance of trying to still be disciplined, but then trying not to push my body too hard, because that's another problem. I'm used to running really fast and pushing myself really hard, but I am getting older. I know I'm not that old. I'm only 25, but my body can't do the same things it used to do. That's part of the reason why I had to step away from the sport. But yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Just moral of the story is this year has been a lot of growing pains. I've learned a lot. I've matured a lot. And I'd say, finally, I think I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. I was in a job that I absolutely hated there for a while. Factory work is not for me. I have definitely learned that now. And I guess office work, I don't know, I can do it, but it doesn't really light my soul on fire either. So I'm back doing something that I'm actually passionate about, and that is one, beekeeping, of course, and also winemaking. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm watching this bee attack this small hive beetle, but